voting against the Opposition Day motion. It is not appropriate for an Opposition Day motion to set the precedent of getting a royal recommendation this way.
They might hope that they will go further than October 29th. They will not. So they have until a few days from now to go on with the royal recommendation. And if they do not, we will start as rapidly as next week to speak with other oppositions in order to get ready to go into an election.
The leader of the Bloc Québécois, they're responding to a vote on his party's motion to boost old age security in Parliament today, a vote that passed with the support of all opposition parties, but that most Liberals, including the federal cabinet, voted against. The Bloc Québécois gave the Liberals a one-month deadline to meet demands on old age security and supply management, threatening, as you heard there, to work with opposition parties to force an election if their demands aren't met. Yves-François Blanchet says despite this vote, that ultimatum still stands. So what happens now? Let's start with Government House Leader Karina Gould. Hi, Minister. Good to see you again. Thank you very much for making the time today. I heard you say today the government was going to vote against the motion, and ultimately most Liberals did, because of the precedent it would set. I wanted to ask you point blank, are you actually opposed to the boost to OAS being expanded?
Yeah, so as I said, and as you mentioned, the reason why we voted against today is the precedent that this would set. It's not appropriate for a private member's bill to seek royal recommendation. When private member's bill requires funding from the government, they need to get a royal recommendation. It's not appropriate to do that through an opposition day motion, and that's not a precedent that we would want to set in Parliament moving forward, because private members' bills are not supposed to be money bills.
Okay, and I clearly did understand that comment that you made. My question, though, is whether or not your government supports a boost to OAS, the one that you implemented for Canadians over 75 being expanded to Canadians between the ages of 65 and 74.
Yeah, so we are really proud of the record that we have when it comes to supporting seniors. So one of the first things that we did when we were in government was increase the guaranteed income vulnerable seniors, and then, as you mentioned, for seniors 75 and over. And the reason why we did that for seniors 75 and over is because we know that once seniors reach 75, their savings have dwindled, but their expenses go up, and so it's important to give them that additional bit of support.
The poverty rate, however, for all seniors over the age of 65, according to the latest data from StatsCan, has actually increased from 2019, when it was 5.7%, to 2022, when it was at 6%. It went up even a little bit to in 2021 as well. Are you telling those seniors in that age group that you do not want to boost their OAS?
So, as I've said many times, and I've said to you as well, I'm in constant conversation with all of the opposition House leaders about how we can make this Parliament work, and our government is, open to how we can support all Canadians and, of course, Canadian seniors. I don't negotiate in public, and I don't talk about those conversations, but I can say, and I think our government has demonstrated, that when it comes to good ideas to support Canadians, like dental care, for example, that's helping almost 800,000 Canadians now access the dentist. We are there for Canadians, and we're there to support them.
Yeah, and I understand what your government has said on numerous occasions in the past few days, that there's dental care, that there will eventually be pharmacare. Dental care just came into effect this year, and that's the argument you're putting forth about all the extra stuff that you've done for seniors. What Mr. Blanchet's point is, and the impetus he says for moving this forward and putting it before your government, is because he feels that the boost that you provided for seniors over 75 is discriminatory if it is not applied to seniors who are over the age of 65. I pointed out that the overall poverty rate for seniors over 65, not just those over 75, has increased while your government has been in power. And you're not really answering about whether or not you support that. I'm not asking you to negotiate in public. I'm just asking you what your government's position on this important piece of policy before Canadians is.
Yeah, and as I said, we're really proud of the record that we have on seniors. We've done a lot to support seniors in this country. And as I also said, and I'll repeat again, we are open to good ideas when it comes to supporting Canadians and, of course, supporting Canadian seniors. And so those, we look forward to discussing and debating those ideas and seeing, how we can continue to support Canadians, particularly those most vulnerable.
So for those who are between 65 and 74 listening right now, are they to take that as an openness on your government's part to have conversations about this going forward, or is it a hard no?
So as I said, we are open to good ideas when it comes to supporting Canadians, including seniors. I think we have demonstrated a real willingness and ability and capability to support seniors across this country, as well as Canadians of all ages with things like the Canada Child Benefit, which has lifted almost 600,000 children out of poverty across the country. But that's who we are as a government, is about helping those most in need and making sure that, we put forward an agenda that is fair for all Canadians.
So you're not worried about the cost of $3 billion a year of imposing this?
Vassy, as I said, we are open to ideas to support seniors, and we look forward to having those conversations and, debating a wide range of policies and programs that can support seniors.
Some of your cabinet colleagues, Mr. Duclos today, did raise concerns about the cost. Do you not share those?
My job is to make Parliament work, and I look forward to having conversations with all of the House leaders about how we can continue to deliver important programs for Canadians across the country. I'm not the policy person in this regard, but what I am doing is working with all of the House leaders on the different ideas that they have and how we can ensure that this Parliament and this government is able to deliver for Canadians.
You do sit around the cabinet table, though, and ultimately, as cabinet, will determine what the policy priorities are and whether or not the federal government can afford them. You don't have a position on an extra $16 billion over 5 years?
And it's the government's job to put forward budgetary measures. That's, the primary reason why we voted against the motion today, because procedurally it's inappropriate and would set a bad precedent. And so, we are going to continue to work towards supporting Canadians of all ages, including seniors. And I'm sure we'll have more to say on the subject as we move through the parliamentary session.
Okay, I'll just quickly point out that's not an answer to the question of your position on budgetary implications, but I do take your point about the process at play. One final question about process before I let you go, as I know your time is extremely limited. We spoke about 3 weeks ago at the outset of the fall sitting. You said you did not intend to prorogue, that there was important work, I believe are the words you used. Do you still intend not to prorogue this Parliament?
That is correct. There is important work that we need to do and important legislation that we need to move forward. And I look forward to working with the other parties to do that.
So no prorogation on the table at the moment?
Correct.
Okay, Minister, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Okay, thanks, Ashley. Take care.